Severe weather later today. As we've mentioned before, this is a conditional risk. We're watching how the day evolves. Nonetheless, though, when we're looking at the thunderstorm chances, anything in the time frame of 3 to 9 p.m., that's where I'd be a little bit more concerned that it could reach severe status. If that's the case, damaging wind and heavy rain are my two primary focuses. That's what the setup would have the most, highest chances for. But behind that, there is the potential for an isolated hail event or even an isolated tornado. And while those things are serious, nonetheless, the environment is just not as conducive for that to be as common as things like damaging wind when it comes to this. So the Storm Prediction Center still keeps us in that level 3 enhanced risk for severe weather for later today. We already have some thunderstorms that are developing just off to our west. That could help to at least minimize how many thunderstorms we see later on. I don't think it will fully wipe it away, but it's at least a little bit of something that could roll through later this morning to help out. It's not monster thunderstorms closer to Lafayette by any means. In fact, for the most part, these are pretty little, and it's not going to bring a whole lot of rain, but nonetheless, it will at least try to work apart the atmosphere if we can hold that together. Otherwise, that 3 to 9 p.m. focus, that's what we're keeping an eye on. Thunderstorms in the latest round of data trying to push in closer to about 4 to 5 p.m. So when it comes to that evening drive, 5:10 on Future Track, showing you clusters of thunderstorms. I do think this could slow down your drive. Before you leave work to go home, I would definitely check with your First Alert weather app with radar, things like that, just so that way you can have a quick check-in with how things are. Otherwise, more clusters of thunderstorms possible as we go into the evening. I mentioned this earlier this week, and I want to bring this back up. I think that the highest storm energy is just to our south and just to our east. It doesn't mean that we won't have severe weather in 21 country. That's why we have today as a First Alert weather day, because there's the chance. But I think it will be very interesting to see areas near Muncie and Richmond and just off to our east closer to Lima, where I think that severe weather chance is much higher. I show you Future Track 9 p.m. at this point, and things are really starting to break down. So let's talk about your 7-day forecast. Temperatures today still staying warm, and we're still humid too, 86 degrees. The cold front is what sparks these storms. That brings us back down to a high of only 80 on Thursday with much lower humidity. Clouds stick around for the early morning on Thursday, then we slowly clear out. We heat up quickly. 90s coming back this weekend, and a string of First Alert weather days with the heat index up to 100.
Ooh, okay, Liz, it's going to be hot this weekend. I'm sure lots of people are going to be flocking to the pools, the lakes, but be careful out there. Thanks so much.